They say the perfect crime doesn't exist. But what if the man who pulled it off wasn't a criminal at all? Until the system gave him every reason to become one. This is the story of Michael Harris, an ordinary bus driver whose quiet routine hid the mind of a strategist. A man who studied every move of his unsuspecting passengers for years, and one day vanished with $2 million in unmarked bills. No one saw him coming, until it was too late. Stick around to the end to see how a soft-spoken driver outsmarted an entire bank security system, and how the one mistake he made cost him everything. Don't forget to hit subscribe if you love real stories of bold crimes, high-stakes drama, and chilling twists. Every morning at 6:03 a.m., Michael Harris pulled his city bus out of the downtown terminal. The streets were quiet. The city still waking up. To the world, Michael was just a man doing his job. But behind those calm eyes, something else was brewing. Something far from routine. At 6:19 a.m., the same passengers boarded, employees of Southern Trust Bank. Michael knew them well. For years, he'd driven them to work. He recognized their voices, their habits, their complaints. Two men sat near the front that day, discussing vault maintenance and delays caused by new security measures. They spoke freely, never suspecting the man behind the wheel was listening. By 6:41 a.m., the group arrived at the bank. One by one, they swiped their key cards and entered. Michael noticed everything: how long the door stayed open, who fumbled with their bags, and when the guard stepped away. One woman, Sarah Lane, paused just long enough to retrieve her card, holding up the line. It was a small moment. But to Michael, it was a crack in the armor. Earlier that week, at 6:04 a.m., Sarah had dropped something on the bus. Michael picked it up. It was her access card. He returned it quietly, no questions asked. But in that moment, he saw more than a piece of plastic. He saw opportunity. It bore the name Southern Trust Bank. It had a magnetic strip and a barcode. Michael's mind began connecting the dots. He started parking the bus near the bank longer than usual. Watching. Timing. Two guards stepped out daily at 9:30 a.m. for a smoke break. 7 minutes. That was the window. At 6:52 a.m., a delivery truck arrived. No one checked the boxes. Another gap. That evening, Michael sat at his kitchen table, notes spread out. Years of unintentional observation were forming into a plan. The routines, the weaknesses, the moments no one paid attention, he documented it all. He didn't act immediately. He watched, waited, timed everything. The next day, Michael followed his routine. But his eyes weren't on the road, they were on the patterns. Sarah's card took 7 seconds to be followed through the door. Just enough time for someone to slip in. He parked the bus, returned later on foot, and timed the guard's break again. 7 minutes. Predictable. Vulnerable. He needed a copy of Sarah's card. And he knew exactly where to get it. At her lunch cafe, she left her bag unattended. Michael, calm and precise, sat nearby. When she stepped away to grab her order, he acted. Swipe. Scan. Return. The card never left her bag for more than 3 seconds. She never noticed. The hardest part was over. Back home, he tested the duplicate on an old lock. It worked flawlessly. With each click of success, his confidence grew. He practiced using it quickly, silently, without error. Then came the tools: gloves, flashlight, backpack. Everything minimalist. Everything clean. The next morning, at 9:34 a.m., Michael made his move. Guards outside. Card in hand. Swipe. Click. He was in. The hallway was sterile, quiet. Cameras were idle unless triggered. He slipped into a storage closet and waited. When the coast was clear, he explored. Found the vault. Noted the layout. It was isolated, poorly protected. Another weakness. He crouched by the vault's keypad. 6 digits. He'd heard numbers mentioned before: 7-1-4-2-6-3. He memorized them. This was no longer theory. This was becoming real. He returned to the closet, mentally mapping every step. He knew the positions of the guards, the camera blind spots, the timing. That night, he set his alarm for 4:30 a.m. The heist was scheduled. 4:30 a.m. buzz. Michael dressed in black. Nothing distinctive. Nothing traceable. At 5:43 a.m., he crouched behind a dumpster across from the bank. At 9:30 a.m., the guards lit their cigarettes. At 9:32, Michael swiped the card. The door clicked. He slipped in. At 9:42 a.m., he reached the vault. Entered the code. Green light. Turned the manual key. Opened the door. Inside, millions in neatly stacked cash. He packed $2 million in $100 bills into his backpack. No signs left behind. At 9:56 a.m., he walked out the way he came. Calm. Invisible. By 10:25 a.m., he reached a garage rented under a fake name. Locked the door. Hid the money in a steel box beneath the floor. Disposed of his gloves and card fragment across the city in separate bins. By noon, he was back home, clean, showered, sipping coffee. A man with the perfect alibi. At 3:30 p.m., the bank discovered the missing money. Chaos erupted. No camera footage. No forced entry. A phantom had robbed them. And no one knew how. Michael drove his route that afternoon like always. Cool. Polite. Invisible. The news hit at 9 p.m. That night, the words "inside knowledge" echoed from the screen. He knew the net would start to close. It was only a matter of time. A week later, police held a press conference. They had persons of interest. Surveillance had caught someone near the building. Michael froze. He'd been so careful. But was it enough? In August, he spotted a government-plated car parked near his building. He brushed it off, until a news story claimed fingerprints had been found on a doorframe. He'd worn gloves. But doubt crept in. September 2nd. Detectives arrived. They were polite, but firm. They brought him in for questioning. He played his role, confused, cooperative. No record. No witnesses. Nothing solid. He was released. February 2016. It was over. A fragment of the discarded key card had been found. Traced. Enough to charge him. The trial was swift. Circumstantial, but convincing. He was sentenced to 15 years. Michael adjusted quickly. Quiet. Kept to himself. The money was never found. But he thought about it every day. Hidden. Waiting. A ghost of a promise. 2022. Michael was released after 6 years for good behavior. The world had changed. But his mission hadn't. He returned to the garage, opened the floor, and there it was. Untouched. $2 million. Waiting for him. He changed his name. Moved. Started over. Kept his life quiet. Low profile. Worked odd jobs. Stayed under the radar. But the fear never left. Every siren. Every glance. A reminder that the past doesn't always stay buried. He had outwitted the system. But not forever. The money gave him freedom. But it came with a price. Michael had become a ghost. Free but never safe. And somewhere, a case file still bears his name. Labeled, unsolved. What would you do if you had the chance to disappear with $2 million? Was Michael a criminal, or just a man pushed too far? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Like if you were hooked. Subscribe for more real stories that blur the line between genius and guilt. And remember, no crime stays perfect forever.